And a very good evening and welcome along to the Monday night panel. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on, well, quite an eventful day. One or two sort of bits of housekeeping to do first and foremost. So we'll do that for you straight away. You might well have heard that there was an application from Wimbledon on Saturday that the game be moved forward to 12:30. Well, it's not. It will be a 3:00 kickoff at the County Ground, Swindon Town against Wimbledon. That, of course, to take account of England's match against France on Saturday night at 7. If you are planning to travel with the town in the next couple of weeks or so, SAS Travel will be open for phone bookings tomorrow. So that's what they'll be open for tomorrow. There is one seat left on the coach to Barrow if you want to do that journey. That is, of course, a week on Saturday, leaving at 7:00, I think. And then he'd also open for Northampton and Colchester. Northampton on the 29th of December, Colchester on New Year's Day. Phone bookings only, that tomorrow on for SAS Travel from 7:00 tomorrow evening. Right, let's bring the panel on then because we've got lots to discuss tonight. Let's say a very good evening to them. Let's see who appears first and foremost. Rob, a very good evening
Victor.
to you.
How are you?
Oh, I'm very well. Thank you very much indeed. Nice to see the Christmas elf making an appearance.
As
at
good
the
as
top
I
of the
could
door.
find, yes.
It's very good to you. Mr. Hawes, a very good evening to you.
Hello.
Hello. Steve Clements, good evening to you.
Evening, Vic.
That's basically the whole of the BBC Wiltshire team. Thank you very much indeed for doing this. Anna Tursley, the co-founder of that particular fanzine that I found in one of my boxes the other day. There we are, cartoons on the back, which is lovely. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a copy of the other fanzine.
What?
George Reed, of course, who was co-founder of Bring the Noise back in the 1980s.
Yeah.
All those years ago. So we've got quite a fanzine type feel to this because I'd be intrigued to know what fanzines are making of everything. First and foremost, should we discuss what happened this afternoon? Anybody know what happened this afternoon at Charlton Athletic?
Oh, yes, we do.
Right. The dismissal of Ben Garner, that's not a shock to anybody, quite frankly, Rob, is it?
No, it's not. Their form's been dreadful over the course of the last 6 weeks. And I think we all said in the summer, didn't we, that you make your own bed when you decide to jump ship. And the grass is not always greener. And this afternoon, Mr. Garner has found that out. I don't think there'll be too many people in Swindon crying in their tea tonight. Let's put it that way.
Andrew, I don't suppose you were shocked either, were you?
No, Charlton, an exciting variety of basket case, it would appear. They do get through a lot of managers. They seem to attract particularly exasperating owners. So no, I guess not really. If they weren't in around the top 6 by this point, I guess the axe was gonna swing. I sometimes wonder whether you get clubs criticised for doing not enough research on managers. I wonder if managers sometimes do enough research on clubs.
Steve, I've got a tweet here from Michelle, and it says, he left a bad taste in my mouth the way he left. Doesn't owe us anything, but it's a mutual respect, which I always showed him. Not even a thank you. It's bitten him in the posterior. He may be financially better off, but his pride reputation has surely been dented. What are your thoughts on it?
No, I totally echo that. I think it's the way he left. There wasn't a thank you very much, Swindon Town. You've given me another opportunity after the shambles at Bristol Rovers. We did give him a platform. We gave him a huge platform to boost his career again. And, he's so right he did. And went off to Charlton. The grass is always greener and all that. But no, and it has come back to bite him. And I think we all were saying it, weren't we, really? Give it till Christmas. And it's proven so. Do I feel sorry for him? Maybe not.
Steve says deserved it. Anna, does that echo what you might think?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the worst thing for me was that I thought Garner he'd joined Swindon Town with buying into the project that was started with Clem taking over the club. So to jump ship like that at the end of one season with relative success, I think was really poor. So no, I've got no qualms about saying he probably got what he deserved, to be honest. And yeah. No.
Okay, George. Derek has sent a message in. Hello, Derek. Why are we discussing this? It has nothing to do with Swindon Town and our current situation. We'll get onto that in a moment. But I think we all like to have a quick word about Mr. Garner. Your thoughts, George?
It was expected, I suppose. It was a poison chalice. I can't imagine why he even thought it was a good idea. I suppose it was a step up for him, but none of them who left last season, Harry or Jack Payne or him, or any of them have gone on to do better things and probably would have been better off staying here.
Well, we'll see. I wonder if we might put a bid in for get Jack Payne back on loan in January. Just a thought. I think it's fair to say Louis Reed's missed Jack Payne, hasn't he, in that midfield? So we'll see. Right, let's get on to some of the comments then. This is from Derek Hand. Hello, Derek. Last season we had Simpson, McCurdy, Payne and Davison scoring goals. Only have Wakeling, who is a work in progress, who looks the part. Ian says, best wishes to Saidu Khan. It was awful watching it unfold on Saturday. Bad injury. Yeah, we send our best wishes to him, of course. Sean says, how disappointing and annoying the last few games have been. More so after that great week at Bradford and Mansfield. On the Garner subject, serves him right after the way he left us. And Malcolm says, I do agree, Derek. Thing is, I can see Scott Lindsay going the same way if he's not careful. Right, Rob, Saturday, I have to say, it was awful, dismal, beyond dismal, appalling. I can't think of many other words except abject. What were your thoughts, Rob?
Abject sums it up absolutely perfectly. I think it was one of our most depressing afternoons in a long, long time. And let's be honest, as Swindon fans, we have many of them. So when you start to compare like with like, it all becomes a bit surreal at times. I've just been looking at the stats before we came on. And if you exclude Mansfield, that fantastic performance of at the end of October, our last 10 games, including the 2 cup ties we played, we've scored 7 goals. Now that, for me, tells its own story. We're not being entertained. It's as simple as that. We were promised this fast-flowing, attacking football, and for reasons, whether it's managerial, whether it's lack of form from the players, we could go through a whole list of different things. But the bottom line is we're not creating chances. No shots on target on Saturday was an absolute insult to the 920 odd of us who were there. And to be honest, as much as I don't want to criticise everybody at the club. At the moment, the manager has got an awful lot to answer for. We need a huge pick-me-up this weekend, hopefully coupled with Johnny Williams' return, because we clearly missed him desperately. But we need to start creating chances. And the only way that I think Scott Lindsay is going to win back some of the fans he may have lost over the last few weeks is for us to start playing that brand of fast attacking football he promised us.
Yeah, obviously it's been touched on already, but with Jack Payne, etc. But the goals we're missing, Andrew, from last season, we haven't replaced them. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess Jeff got to sort of come in to be Davison, but there's no real Simpson type figure. Williams is sort of chipping in to some extent, but yeah, it's a bit lucky in goals, and as Rob said, the thing is sort of chances are starting to dry up a bit as well, which is the kind of concerning thing, really. We've got a couple of games where it's been like, give it to Hutton, get him to cross it in. That's been the plan. Scott Lindsay sort of acknowledged that they were getting too predictable, but they didn't really break out of that cycle on Saturday. It was just, I can't recall any noise of any significance from either set of fans during the first 45 minutes. It was like one of those, well, we're obliged to be here, and we're obliged to be here too, and we'll sit through this in silence until you actually do something to entertain us.
That's a really, really good point.
The one bit of noise there was for Brandon the steward, who was down in front of us. And he had about half an hour of embarrassing songs, but that's because there was nothing else on the pitch to watch.
Well, it got so quiet at one point that we were discussing the Channel 5 afternoon Christmas movies. That's how bad it was in the first 45 minutes. And you're absolutely right. I mean, Steve, I assume you were at the other end of the technicals, or were you there? I'm not really sure.
It was a rare day off for me on Saturday. I was doing other things for the BBC that day, so I was away from the football. But no, I just like Rob touched on just a minute ago, that we were promised all this attacking, free-flowing football, and there's only one game that it's at home. The game escapes me, but Ronan Darcy was shooting from everywhere. It was that one rare game that I can just recall him sort of having pot shots from. I think we got one goal from it. Which one was it? Sorry,
Newport, I think, wasn't it?
I think it might have been. Yeah, we scored from one of his. The goalkeeper fumbled one of the shots, and we scored from it. Yeah. And for me, that was like, oh, okay, this is looking a bit promising now. And since then, No, to lose at home to Crewe, gee whiz, your season's going to be rotten if it's going to be, you're losing to teams like that. But no, I was listening to Andrew on the way back from recording, and it just sounded dire. I mean, not your commentary, Andrew, but the game itself, it was just like, is there anything out there for us? It just seems to me that at the moment they're almost like going for the motions. There's just no pattern. I think even Scott sort of admitted himself. He's got we're working on the training ground. Well, what are you doing on the training ground? What are you working on? That's what I would like to know, because it's clearly not being replicated on a Saturday afternoon come 3:00. So no, I think Wimbledon. I think they picked up a win at the weekend, didn't they? So they're going to be on a bit of form, and Mr. Davison is just as likely to come and score a goal against us on Saturday. So that's going to be the acid test, I think, and then serious questions need to be asked, I think, if anything else happens on Saturday.
Yeah, more comments coming in. Derek says, you obviously watched a better performance than I did. That's what, bearing in mind what my summary was of the game just now. There are certain words I could use, but I won't. Reed gets back in and served up an awful performance. How can a team have so much possession yet not have a shot on target? Well, we seem to win most matches on possession, don't we? But unfortunately, you don't get any points for that. Neil says, agreed, it's slow and boring most of the time, like any attacking intent, sadly. We don't take risks in games, playing not to lose. Hello, Justin. We are well below where we should be, going to be a mid-table finish at best. Is it right we haven't beat Crawley in 14? Well, we won there 4-0 a few games ago.
I think that's the one win in 14.
Yeah, one win. Yeah. Wimbledon are on a fairly good run at the present. That's from Tony. Goes along with what Steve says. Right, Anna, I know you were pretty angry on Saturday. Do you want to vent a bit?
Well, yeah, kind of. I mean, what I don't understand is when you get in this position when you're on a not very good run, let's say, you go back to the basics. And the basics for me are closing teams down, making yourself available for a pass, being first to the second ball and the third ball and the turnovers, and we're doing none of that. So what I'd like to know from the stats master behind the scenes is the running that Scott Lindsay referred to as very important. The amount of running the players do, is that up to scratch? Because it didn't look like that to me on Saturday. It did not look like they were working for each other. It didn't look like they were trying to play triangles. It looked like they were knocking it about in the defensive third, only to, quite frankly, they were hoofing it a lot of the time, weren't they? Hutton's marked out of the game, so what are our options going forward? Etherington said after the game that a lot of the work they'd done pre our game was out of possession. So with us in possession, how easy are we to play against when we play so slowly across the back five all the time? We have to move that ball quicker. And we can. That's the irritating thing about it, I think, is that we can make these incisive passes. We can make these runs and these passes behind the back four. So why are we not is the question. I don't know the answers, but get back to the basics. Close down. Make yourself available. Don't be last to every second ball, which we were, weren't we? We were pretty much last at every second ball. They got all the turnovers, and they were a poor side. We've got perhaps we have got a personnel gap up front, I think, but let's get back to the basics and work hard for each other. I know Japan went out earlier, but Japan team, they work for each other, don't they? Let's start doing that. Get back to the basics.
Yeah, very good summing up, I think. No, that's fair enough. Tony says, can't see Swindon winning on Saturday, especially the way we set up. Sheer frustration for me is not one player will take the responsibility to shoot. I don't mind if they miss, just have a go. And Swindon had a corner on Saturday after 2 passes and the ball was back with the goalkeeper. I think we're the only team in the league that does that, quite frankly, it seems to me. Hello, Joe. Still think Ben Shawley leaving hasn't done us any favours. Simon Batchelor, I believe Wimbledon are second in the last 6 form table, 14 points, not conceded in 4. I mean, the thing is, George, it wasn't Barcelona Saturday, was it? I mean, Crawley, let's be honest. I've seen better Devon Premier League games than that in the first half.
The game was there to be taken in the first half. I mean, it was just running on to nothing, really. And we don't seem to have a player that's much of a leader on the pitch. We haven't got a Ross McLaren or an Alan McCormack or anybody like that who can drive them on and take, when you see a game drifting like that, can take it by the scruff of the neck and really sort of get the team going. It's a fun. Ben Gladwin seems to be his link to Lindsay's link to the pitch, and Ben's a nice chap. He's a bit private Godfrey, isn't he? He's a bit. I'd say my sister Dolly says, "Do you wonder if you could perhaps get into the penalty area at some stage?" and I don't think Wakeling and Jeffcote can be bad players. We just don't seem to play to their strengths. We just, we bought a diesel car with Jeffcote and we're putting petrol in it. It's no. I don't understand. I don't quite know what. I mean, they've also Wakeling started well and started scoring goals, but then he's the mystery of the Mansfield precipice. I can't work out whether it's 3 at the back. We seem to be crap with 3 at the back, and all the success we had was with a 4. And what happened to McDonald on Saturday? Does anybody know? I thought he was training and ready to go. And I was expecting to see him and the boy from Liverpool, but that didn't happen. We went to that 3 again, and it just drifted. It was a shocking game, an absolutely shocking game.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we were comparing it to Gillingham, but at least there were a couple of goals in this one, even though they were at the other end. At least there was something that happened as opposed to Gillingham. Yeah. Rob, that's a very good point, the back 4, back 3, isn't it? I think many people have made that over the weekend. We seem to be better with a 4, but we've gone back to this back 3, and somehow, I don't know. What's your take on that?
Well, our first point, it was warm at Gillingham, Vic.
Yeah,
it wasn't at Crawley, so
yeah.
we'll add that one to the list. I just look at that side at the moment, and I wonder where the direction is, and I wonder where it's going. Those are the 2 immediate thoughts that come to my head every time I look at them. I can't see what they're trying to do to score a goal. Taking George's point, Wakeling and Jeffcote, we know can score goals. We've seen them do it. The opportunities aren't there for them. They're not seeing the ball anywhere near as often as they should, and they're certainly not seeing it in the right areas of the pitch. Now, you can argue if your strikers are not getting chances, they're not doing enough running themselves to get to make opportunities for themselves. There was one really key opportunity first half. I remember Lewis Reed first half had a chance to put the ball in under no pressure whatsoever. And Jeffcote had made a storming run to the near post, put it to the near post, he scores. And he put it about 20 yards past the far post. Our delivery, generally speaking, Hutton apart, who has had an exceptional month, apart from, he didn't do an awful lot Saturday, but up till that, he'd been really, really good. Our delivery into the penalty area is not anywhere near good enough to find the players that are in there. Now, whether that's because they're not getting into the right positions, whether it's the wrong player delivering it, you can go through a multitude of things. But as I say, go back to that first point. How are you going to score a goal? What is your one motive and your one way forward to score a goal? And I can't see it. I just can't see it in that team. And once Johnny Williams was in there, we had somebody who was doing something a little bit different. And I look back to that Crewe game. If there's ever been a game where we needed somebody to open it up and somebody to do something a little bit different, McCurdy like from last year, Williams like from this year, we didn't have that, and we just looked a pale shadow of a team. And unfortunately, I thought with a 2-week break, we'd see a completely different circumstances on Saturday, and we didn't. We didn't at all. The other thing that struck me immediately is, are we the only team that makes substitutions that make our team worse rather than make our team better? Because again, on Saturday, every sub that came on, Darcy apart for 5 minutes at the start of the second half, we just looked like we'd got worse in the second half, not better. And certainly the last 2 substitutions that came on together, that just about finished the game off.
I'll get onto the Williams question in a minute, Andrew, because I want to put that to you. But here's this from Phil. There's no one capable of holding the ball up front, and so no way of bringing the rest of the players into play in the attacking third. Along with that, we have no one of real pace to stretch defences. What worried me was the lack of any leadership on the pitch, which we've touched on a little earlier. Why do we persist in crossing high balls into the box when we have no one capable of heading it? There were 2 giant centre-halves on Saturday, and thanks ever so much. This is going back to the corners from Neil. They do the same on free kicks. We pass it backward or sideways from a direct free kick. There's a question about the manager here, which we'll get onto a little later, but basically this is it. Nev says, hello, Nev. If the manager's removed, who's available to replace him? Do you rock the boat with a sensible replacement to come in? Without a sensible replacement to come in? Right, we'll get onto that a little later. Very easy to play against. Stop Hutton, stop Swindon. Lack of effort and movement throughout. We can't even get a shot in on corners, let alone score. We have no creativity and so easy to play against. We have no threat. I think you can tell by the amount of comments that are coming in, Andrew, people ain't happy. What about Williams then? I mean, let's be honest. He didn't play any football in the week and a half he was there with Wales in the World Cup. So Portsmouth, I think, had a couple of players come back from the Wales squad and were in the party on Sunday. What do we know about Johnny Williams? Why didn't he play?
Well, Chris Gunter was on the bench for Wimbledon on Saturday, just for the record. I think the idea was, I think he was going to finally come back on Friday, and I think they just decided that they'd rather kind of proceed without him than try and put him in on one day's training, having just come back from Qatar. I think it's the basic point where I don't know. I think I might have been tempted to put him on the bench given how little he'd done, but yeah. So I think that's why he wasn't there. Do they miss him? Yes, I suppose. You haven't really had Jeffcott and Wakeling look the same together up front, have you? Since Williams wasn't in behind them, though. I guess he did play in the Stockport debacle where no one looked good there. So, do they miss him to? I don't know. Give defenders something else to worry about if he sort of pushes up between them. I'm not sure, but I think sort of tracking back slightly. Yeah. I think, strange as it sounds, I think part of the reason why we've got three at the back is so we can try Wakeling and Jeffcott up front, because I don't think we want to play 4-4-2 because I think we like having the advantage of the extra man in midfield, sort of 3 versus 2, or at least 3v3. So yeah, I think you're sort of kind of left playing 3-5-2 by default, but it doesn't really work. It didn't work on day one at Harrogate. I think it's got us 1 win against Rochdale. So maybe he's going to be moving his salt and pepper shakers around on the kitchen table as we speak.
I mean, if I remember rightly, Mansfield, didn't he have 4 at the back, then a diamond, and then 2 up front?
He did, but it's quickly. Yeah. But he said he doesn't really see that as a viable formation long term, because I think he thinks it's too defensively vulnerable, sort of playing with the diamonds. So I don't think we'll go back to that, and maybe Stockport proved him right.
It's a great phrase, though, Andrew, isn't it? When you win 5-2 and you don't think that's defensively solid. Fair enough, you conceded 2 goals and scored 5. Maybe that's a problem.
It was
sometimes I'm just the messenger.
I mean, let's be honest. We all came away from that thinking, "Hang on, we've cracked this. We're doing all right." And then Stockport. What's that plane going in? Oh, that's a Ryanair one. That's how it was for most of the game. I think it's fair to say. Where do you stand on this 4-4-2, 4 at the back, 3 at the back, Steve?
It's 4 for me. It works. You know, it's proved it works. It frustrates the hell out of me when he plays a 3 at the back. You know, it doesn't get. I'd love to know his mentality before the game. Is he setting up his team to not lose, or is he setting them up to win? Because for me, it's just like, let's try and see what we can get out of this by not losing. There's no impetus. It's got to be a 4 at the back because it just works for me. 4-4-2. I know it sounds boring, but you know, it's clear that it's the most effective for us. And even Ben Garner tinkered around it last year, didn't he? And found the winning formula of 4 at the back. I know I mentioned his name again. But it works. It proves it was the 3 at the back for Swindon doesn't work. No, 4. And, you know, if we win 5, maybe Mansfield had a bad day at the office that day. Who knows? And we just caught them on a bad day. But, you know, I know we played quite well that day as well. Maybe we did, you know. Who knows?
The first 34 seconds, if I remember rightly, didn't they, at Mansfield?
That was about it, yeah. But no, so yeah, no 4 at the back. It's got to be, and yeah, Hutton's got to be playing right back. I mean, Blake Tracy left, and then you've got Clayton and McDonald in the middle there. So yeah, that's for me would be the ideal back 4 when fit.
Let's have a look. Why do we play 3 at the back? It's not worked in any game this season. Why not back 4? When we played, it worked. People moan at the strikers, but they hardly get any balls fed to them, which is what we touched on just now. Last home game, we had them in CD at times. Last time we made them at CD at times. I got a lot of vinyl. Paul Bundy says every striker we would be better alongside a target striker. It's very poor recruitment not to get the type of forward. We don't hold the ball up at all. Crawley didn't even look good on Saturday. I honestly said to my son 5 minutes prior, we're going to go 1 down from nothing. And we did, of course. Only a matter of time it was going to happen. Tony says, can't see us winning a match in December. Goodness me, that's a depressing thought. Don't blame them. I think we will start to lose the amazing fan base we have because we've been awful. And Joe says, we generally cause our own problems and then concede. Right, let's go to the fanzine element here. Anna, if you were still running this august journal, sorry, I haven't got to bring the noise. I must have one somewhere. If you were running a fanzine, how would you be seeing this?
I mean, pretty much like we've been saying it today. When you're a fan on the terraces or on the seats or whatever you are, things are so blatantly obvious. You know, we can't hold the ball up. We perhaps need a bigger striker. Do we play 3 or 4 at the back? You go through all that analysis, but clearly something has to change. And I was thinking, you know, you don't become a bad team overnight, but somehow we have. From Mansfield almost overnight to Stockport, we became that team that couldn't score, and something looked like it had changed. And I think that Stockport defeat was way more damaging than just going out of the cup. I think it was a real confidence knock. I think it also showed that teams can play against us very easily if we're moving the ball slowly, and we've got no outlet. So yeah, I guess you put that analysis in it, and hope that somebody behind the scenes also at the club is seeing what we see and has the nous to know how to change it. I don't quite frankly care whether we play 3 or 4 at the back. I just care that we do the basics and that we start moving the ball more quickly. And I think things will come. That you know, George alluded to the square peg in a round hole. Wakeling and Jeffcott are not bad goal scorers, but you have to play to their strengths. You've got to get that ball in behind. There's no point in lobbing it over the top for those lighthouse defenders to gobble up and love back upfield. So you know, there's a bit of anger, isn't there, out there at the moment, I think. But you know, we need to start turning it around pretty quickly.
Okay. How are Shade and Adeloy professional footballers? Says Justin. Sean says, look on the bright side, we may have the best stadium in League Two in a few years' time. Hello, Dean. When teams are stopping us down the right, we need something down the left, and we just don't have that. 3 or 4 great opportunities wasted down the left on Saturday. Do you think Adeloy was supposed to be it? So far, I'm not really sure what he is. Does all this stem from our director of football, who's never been a professional in football? Hi, Kevin. Adeloy couldn't get into time with reserves. Seems to be getting a lot of stick. Sorry, nearly knocked that off for a minute. Whoops, done it again. What is the sort of definition of madness? Doing the same thing over and over again, isn't it? Really? I guess. This is the Williams thing. I guess he hadn't trained with the team in prep for his game. Not that the rest of the team seem to have either. Surely worth having on the bench. We turn up, play nice football, then lose. How good is that for the opposition fans? That's from Ian. The loss at Stockport knocked the stuffing out of us and seems to have affected everyone. George, how would Bring the Noise be? It was quite hard hitting in the 80s, if I seem to remember.
It would probably come in trying to find some way of how Adeloy fills his spare time, because I don't know what he's doing at Swindon, really, because when he saw Jeff could go off and Shade come on, he must have thought, well, hold on a minute, I'm a centre forward here and I'm not even getting on. They're putting a winger or a wing back on up front and not me. And then he came on out of desperation. I don't know what we would only be reflecting what people are saying here. And then Lou Macari would probably ring us up and tell us we were completely wrong and that he's going to take us to court.
Those moments. Remember them well. Yes. Hello, Jackie. What we could do with another Hutton on the other side too. So we go forward instead of playing it back all the time. Iandelo's been poor since coming back. I have to say, Robert, Ellis Iandelo seems to be getting a bit of stick at the minute. Is that fair?
Well, as always with these things, it's a yes and no answer, isn't it? I mean, the lad's come back from pretty much 4 months of total inactivity, hasn't he? So he's come back in and played maybe about 10 games on the trot now or something close to it. You would hope he'd be recapturing his form of last year, but it's clearly not there. He's the one player in the last 2 games, the game against Crewe and the game against Crawley, who's had the best chance in both, and he's not hit the target. I think that immediately puts fans' focus on him a little bit more than maybe they should have done. There is no doubt he's not recaptured last season's form yet. But again, you say that of Reed. You can say that of many players. Bowdler's not the player he was at the end of last season. There's a number of players who aren't at that level yet. You could sort of look at the Blake Tracy Iandlo situation at the moment and say that could be your answer. You only play one of those two, and you try to find that gets you your back four. You then get an extra player in either in midfield to play that 4-4-2 that people are talking about, or do you play something slightly different? There are so many players at the moment that you would look at. I mean, I would try and put down a team of our players that are in form at the moment. And prior to Williams going across to Qatar and Clayton, who we desperately missed at the back for the time that he was out. Note as well, we didn't concede while Clayton was on the pitch on Saturday. It only happened afterwards. So, and every centre-back plays better when Clayton's alongside them. To me, that's so noticeably obvious. But you take those two players apart, and I am struggling, apart from Ben Gladwin for the first 7 or 8 games of the season, and Darcy for maybe 1 or 2 in the middle of the season so far. I'm struggling to put together any kind of consistency except for Fraser Blake Tracy, who without doubt has been consistent in almost every game he's played.
And I'd say the goalkeeper as well. I mean, we're lucky to have Scott Bryn, aren't we?
We are, but he's had his moments, Solbury.
Yeah, he has, yeah. But he's a young keeper, isn't he?
He's a young keeper, and you get that. So I think we're very lucky to have picked up a couple of very, very good loan players. Let's put it that way again. And we say that quite regularly season after season. We then go through January, as we know, desperately hoping that we cling on to them for the rest of the season. We're in that same situation again this year.
It's a very interesting point, Andrew. This is from Darren. I've been bored since August. I've missed quite a few games due to other commitments. It hasn't bothered me due to the dire football served up. You see a better brand of football at Swindon Supermarine. And Helen says, times are getting hard for fans to find extra money. Now, here's one from Christopher Reed. I've been looking out for this one, George. I can't believe George is defending Tommy. He told me how good he was on Saturday. There you go. Anyway, let's go back to that point about entertainment value, Andrew. That's a big problem, isn't it? Don't you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. On Saturday there wasn't any. Let's not kid ourselves. I didn't think I suggested to the listeners anything other than that. So, but yeah, I think at least you want to kind of go and have a day out with some expectation of watching something enjoyable. We don't necessarily know the team's going to win every week, but it can be, and it was for bits of last season as well, especially some of the first halves. This sort of possession game, when it's not done with the kind of tempo that Anno's talked about, can be pretty kind of sterile and pretty uninspiring, really. And I think it's not quite like the the 50s, is it, where everyone got out of the factory, paid their 2 and 6 and just went to the football out of habit. I think people expect a bit more, and it's not at the moment. Quite often it's not happening. I did I'm in a very lucky position, and if I say this, I don't want anyone to think that I don't think otherwise, but I turned up out of with a sort of sense of kind of obligation feel to the whole thing. I didn't really go to Crawley with any enthusiasm, I must admit. So if I'd sumped up my petrol money and my ticket as well, I understand why Anna and George are busy, not being impressed.
I have to say, on the bus on Saturday, as we went through the delightful place called Hartley Whitney, which is to me the highlight of the day. Beautiful town. And to be honest, I wish I'd rather spent the afternoon there because it was such a nice town. That was the highlight of the day. And, I got to Crawley and I thought, actually, am I bothered whether I'm here or not? And I tell you what, Steve, that's a worry, isn't it?
It is a little bit. I mean, I've missed a couple of home games this season. And yeah, I'm not bothered. And I did miss the 3-0 back in August. I think it was was it Rochdale at home? We won 3-0 or somebody like that against 3-0. So I did miss that one. But no, I can't say it. Yes, we've got a home game on Saturday, and yes, I have bought my Northampton away tickets. But am I really that excited? There isn't a spark at the moment, or a connection I feel at the moment that we can identify with a player or the man. It just doesn't seem that at the moment. Yeah, Scott Lindsay comes on the pitch at the end and thumps his chest and claps his hands or whatever, but again, it's. I mean, I know how sometimes I harp back to it, but Paolo Di Canio, there was that sort of euphoria, wasn't it? That you went because it was box office, but at the moment we're just, like you say, we're just going out of habit. It's just, and just expect to win, not really. Yeah, it's just a bit flat. I mean, that game against Gruber, I mean, that was the last game I saw. It was just nothing to excite us. There was and almost to the point where the fans where I was sitting was shouting which way to pass it and who to pass it to, because they didn't have a clue on the pitch. Half the time, it's just got to that stage again, which is just frustrating. But no, it's just a bit flat. It just needs some excitement. It just needs something injected back into them again.
I could give you a latest World Cup score if anybody wants to know it.
Okay.
I mean, I will do in a minute. I'll tell you what. I'll give you full warning. So if you don't want to know the score, you can, in true BBC fashion, run around the room screaming or something. So I'll do that in a minute.
That's what we do frequently.
Yes, we do. I know. Never give out the Japanese Grand Prix result on a Sunday morning. I tell you, that causes all sorts of chaos. Marcus Gardner, hello to you. This boring possession football just doesn't work for Swindon. Mark Cooper during his last games, Luke Williams, Ben Garner, and now Scott Lindsay. Boring. We all like Ellis, but he can't beat his man, and really gets a telling crossing. We need a Phil King, a Jay McEverley type player at left back. Well, we've got a Jay McEverley lookalike, haven't we, in the team, with Fraser Blake Tracy. So we're almost there. I and my wife are season ticket holders. It's from Michael, but our interest is waning due to the poor performance of the team. Just what is going on? Surely we deserve better. Hartley Whitney is a super little place, village green and a stream running through it, and they were selling Christmas trees. It was gorgeous. Dean says, certainly worrying when you're not looking forward to games, Vic. I'll be there, but again, anyway. So I'm going to give that score out now. So you've missed your opportunity, all right? Brazil against South Korea, 36 minutes gone, 3-0 Brazil. I think they're in the quarterfinals so now. It's a shame because we know people from South Korea. They'll be very disappointed tonight. Fans expect full commitment to see what our team is trying to do, to see energy and hopefully some quality. What Lindsay described as what he wants, we just haven't seen any of it. It's rubbish against poor teams, even if Scott tells us the other teams are good when we know they aren't. And you made the point on Saturday, I think, about how we were destined for another season in League Two. And, this has been a dirge most of this season, hasn't it? And how many more seasons of League Two do we have to put up with?
Yeah, I was looking at the table. If you look at the table, aren't we? We're 17 or 18 points behind Orient, and we're about 8 points behind third place. So it's not looking great for automatics. Let's start by saying that. But for the playoffs, I'm not somebody who really wants to just creep into the playoffs. I want to be at the top. And with the brand of football that we're playing at the moment, that's just, quite honestly, it's not going to happen, is it? What we have, I think, is a challenge to play Swindon Town football like this, passing football, with perhaps players that are just not up to it, to be honest. And we think about doing something different. Fans always talk about managers not having a plan B, don't they? I think probably every club up and down the country that supporters are saying that. But we do need to do something radically different on Saturday. We cannot have 70% possession and no shots on goal, because people will start to walk out and they'll not return. I think that's going to be a really bad thing for the finances of the club as well as the support. So we really have to. They've got to do something different. If it's Johnny Williams being a catalyst to something good happening, that's fine. But they need to work harder, I think, and we need to play to the forward strengths. Otherwise, you've got to look at the January transfer window, haven't you, and say, well, who are we bringing in that's going to change things? But somebody alluded, I think, to Darcy coming on Saturday, changed the game or looked like he was going to change the game first 5 or 10 minutes, and then just quite frankly sank into the depths of the rest of the team. So something more fundamental has to change, I think, really. And whether that's the attitude of the players or the personnel themselves, I think that's going to come, isn't it, at some point.
Well, at least somebody's answered the phone. That's the main thing. Is that Ben Garner on phone to you, Andrew, by any chance there? Can I do co-coms on Saturday? Let's have a look. I cannot watch Scott Lindsay's after-match speech anymore. It's cringeworthy. His favourite saying is, "We were the better team." Sorry, guys, but going away this weekend. Booked a lovely hotel. Can't stand another awful Saturday. And there's another goal in the Brazil-South Korea match. I'll tell you about that in a little later. Kevin says, Clem's back soon. He needs to shake him up. Jackie says, what do we really expect? Automatic promotion? Well, George, to be fair, that was the target at the start of the season, wasn't it? That's what Scott Lindsay said, promotion.
Yeah. In each week, it seems to be getting further and further from his grasp. That was Brandon Cooper on the phone to me asking if he can come back to Swindon Town because he's doing absolutely nothing at Swansea.
Well, get him back. Absolutely.
And he'd just been talking to Joe Tomlinson, who's also doing nothing at Peterborough.
Get him back as well.
Come back here,
yes.
And they would improve the side no end.
Yes.
I don't see us. Scott Lindsay's a nice man. He's a lovely man. He's a lovely bloke. He's the sort of chap you'd like to have next door without a problem at all. But sometimes it takes just something a bit different to run a football team. And Wellens had that little bit of bedevilment in him. Paolo Di Canio was as Rafa De Vitas told you last week, was a lunatic. But Scott is just a bit lackluster, and his team is now taking on his own persona. It's a real shame to sit and watch him go, drift away from everything. And by the time we get to Northampton away, we'll probably be 15th. And we'll take a decent following there because people like Steve and myself have bought tickets for it already. And most of us probably bought tickets for it already. But I got a feeling by the time we get there, it might be all over almost.
Well, I mean, I've said before, he's the one manager I wanted to succeed more than any because he is such a decent bloke. I really want him to succeed. And, I want Scott Lindsay to do well. Yeah. Because if he does well, then our club does well. So there we are. Bring Austin back in. Hang on. Whoa. Oh, sorry. It's all gone here a minute. It's just gone a bit crazy. Martin. Hello, Martin. Automatics, no chance. Only an outside chance of the playoffs. Lindsay won't last the season. We'll see. Justin says 18 points behind Orient. Is this what our great football club has become? Bring Austin back in his suitcase. Mind you, even he needs chances to score. Mike says, hello, Mike. A couple of weeks ago, I was concerned at the fact I'm going to be out of the country for the whole of January and was dreading the weekly call from Andy Cousins telling me how I'd missed something special again. Right now, I can't wait to get on the plane and was tempted midway through the second half on Saturday to vacate the dreadful little ground and walk down the road to Gatwick and start queuing for check-in. I mean, I think we all felt like that, Rob, didn't we? And to be fair, when Saidu Khan was down being treated, and I'm not going to make fun of that at all. That was a really serious moment. But I walked out to use the facilities, and I had a little chat with the linesman because he was sort of just trying to keep warm because, as you know, it was cold, and it was that sort of game where was it a football game or was it something else? I didn't quite get it.
No, it was such a desperately disappointing afternoon because we've summed it up pretty much in every answer we've given so far. There was just nothing to grab hold of and say, this is my team, this is what we do, let's get out there and really have a go at somebody. It was just, we went through the motions. All you can say is we went through the motions. It felt very much like that. And this first half syndrome we seem to have where we're far happier when nothing happens in the first half, either going forward or in defence. And it just brings everybody down. The atmosphere, there is no atmosphere watching Swindon. All these last few weeks, the only game I can remember with an atmosphere, home or away, was Mansfield. And that was simply because there was energy and effort put in from everybody all around the pitch. And they might be working as hard as they damn well can in training. We need to see those results on the football pitch on a Saturday. And it's not happening. I sort of bang my head against a brick wall sometimes. I'm looking at our fixture list and thinking, oh, Barrow away in 10 days' time. How attractive that game feels just at the moment when we're in this sort of run of form. And you sort of think to yourself, well, okay, it's got to get better. It's got to get better. But I just go back to the words we used at the preamble at the start of the season. Let's just hope Scott Lindsay doesn't turn into John Gorman, and I fear he is, just at this moment in time.
Barrow away. Actually, Saturday reminded me of Barrow. last season. It was that sort of game, really disappointing in all respects. Looking forward to it. A week on Saturday, lovely. Just can't see us buying anybody in January. Hello, Marie. Surely we can afford a decent manager. Debt's gone and we pay more for our match tickets than other clubs. £25 SCFC, 15 quid at Crawley. Where's the money going? We'd like to get Sandro and Lindsay on the panel to hear the comments. We would. I'd love to. Can we afford to have this manager here till January when we have the opportunity to change the team, hopefully for the good? Discuss. Last time Clem came back, we started winning. Hurry up, Clem. I think he's coming back after Christmas. And oddly enough, says Darren, Hartley Whitney are playing at Swindon Supermarine on Saturday. There we are. What a coincidence. Andrew, let's discuss the manager then. As I've said to you, I want him to succeed. I've always wanted him to succeed. What are your thoughts on this? I know it's difficult for you because you have to talk to the man every week.
Yeah, I think the club have done him zero favours in how the whole appointment was kind of done, really, because it all sort of looked like we're looking here, we're looking there, we're looking everywhere else, and there he is behind the sofa. Basically, we found him, the one we thought was going to Charlton, and we found him, and he'll be our manager. So that doesn't help him. Not having a sort of track record as a manager doesn't help him either. So the way the club have appointed him and the choice of an untried manager means that we're never too far from a crisis, and here we are with that winning 4, I think, and suddenly it feels like it. I find it unusual to be the voice of optimism. We still are 3 points off 4th, so it's not. I don't think the season's over and irretrievable yet. But when I've spoken to him, he has. I've asked him kind of specifically how important the entertainment value, and he said very important. So. There's clearly a desire to bring entertaining football, whether he's doing it or not. But ultimately, I think managers tend to go either quickly if you've got owners like Charlton that just love pushing the button, or the normal thing tends to be when those crowd graphs start sort of going like that, doesn't it? And suddenly people feel it in their pockets, and it sounds a little bit from all the comments we've had tonight that people are, not particularly sorry to be finding other things to do with their Saturday. So when that kicks in, then he's suddenly in trouble. But I don't think he's under any immediate pressure from within, as far as I know.
Fair enough. The cost of living crisis, you might have heard of it. It's been in the news lately. We don't need a nice manager. We need an experienced one. Poor Brandon, the steward, got the brunt of a lack of energy Saturday and our apparent support for Seattle. It seems to be a clear lack of style. We don't dominate passes, but we also don't play on the counter, etc. Maybe a character is needed in charge, i.e. a Sol Bamba or Miles Jedinek, given both the previous links with Swindon. I bet he wished he'd had that sofa there on Saturday. If he believed that statement, what the hell is happening when we spend 70% of the match in our own box? I mean, the possession stats are fabulous, Steve, aren't they? But as I keep saying to people, he doesn't put that in the paper as points, does he? You don't get
absolutely, points. Yeah, don't get you any points at all. So, he harps on, we kept the ball well, we kept the ball well. But did we win? No. No, there's two things there. I always remember an interview that Ben gave talking about the footprint of the club and all this and how they're going to build. And should a manager go, then they will look to a point within. So I don't know why it took so long. Maybe the Charlton thing, maybe that didn't come off for Scott. So that's why he came back to Swindon. So there was an opportunity for him to manage and could be continuity purposes. But also, the transfers at the summer, gee whiz. They brought them all on paper and stats and played on, it's played on grass for goodness sake. And I think, I don't know who's buying them. I don't know who has the final say, whether that is Sandro or whether that is Scott, but they have been poor. They've either been injured, they've either not played well. We had Adeloy, he's gone out. We had Reece Devine, he's been injured. Then we brought Rushan Hepburn and Murphy. He played 10 minutes and broke a fingernail. So, we are signing players that are just either crocked, half fit, or just not anywhere near the standard of playing in League Two. It was poor. The best signing I think we had this season is Hutton, without a shadow of a doubt. Wakeling, I think he needs to get back on the score sheet again. He got his contract, then the goals dried up. So yeah, there's and Blake Tracy, I suppose, but the rest, gee whiz, bargain bucket at the best of times. And if they're looking to say they can improve and sell them on, well, you might be selling on to the National League South at this rate, because no one's going to be wanting taking players from a team that are mid-table League Two. There's no experience. There's just they're young kids. There's no one in that team that is going to take the bull by the horns and just get the game going at the moment. There's no experience at the back. I know, the chat from Robin we got, but no, it's just lackluster. And there's just nothing about the team at the moment that can get me excited. So, yeah. So the recruitment right back in the summer. I'm sorry, Sandro. I said it to your face. I'm going to say it again now. Was shocking. Let's do better. If he's watching, that's all I'm saying. It's awful, and you're not going to get anybody decent in January because no one's going to want to come to a mid-table League Two team and try and fight for off relegation or fight for promotion. They ain't going to want to come to that. They want to come to a team that's near the top. So yeah, League Two next season.
Rob says Saturday broke me. Haven't been so angry at a performance since Sheridan. Why persist with a formation that doesn't work in defence and delivers no service up front? It's getting harder to watch. Saturday was difficult and it was cold. It's going to get colder. Malcolm says, spot on, Steve Clement. So there we are. Rob Angus, Steve McCauley and Clem have a lot to answer for. They should have handled the Garner saga better instead of pandering to Sandsgaard whims. Anna, any positivity at all? Because we've spent most of this hour, let's be honest, focusing on the negativity. Are we going to see anything positive? Can we see anything positive first and foremost?
I mean, there wasn't anything positive from Saturday, was there?
No,
if you look back over the whole season, I mean, you have got a couple of positives in the I think Hutton and Blake Tracy as two of our standout signings. Wakeling probably for the future, but he needs some experienced support up front. I think just as much, in fact, as Lindsay does behind the scenes. So Andrew alluded to the way that Lindsay was appointed. And when you look at his backroom staff, who I don't know awfully well, to be honest, he's picked them up and known them, I think, from previous. But there doesn't seem to be an old football head in there like there was with Paul Jewell. So Richie Wellens had the advantage of having Paul Jewell behind the scenes. So I'm sure he must have talked to and consulted with a lot. Who does Scott Lindsay have to talk to when things are going wrong like they are now? But going back to your question about positives, it's a struggle at the moment, isn't it? Because of the style of football, because of the knocking it about at the back ad infinitum, having 70% possession. I think I do believe there's a very fine margin between a good team and a bad team. So we are only 4 points off that fourth place, and it doesn't take much to turn things around. But we have to, we have to do something deliberate to change what's happening at the moment. It's not going to just happen. It's not just going to be a corner turned. It has to be, a change in formation, it has to be a change in personnel, it has to be a change in approach, whatever it be. It has to be quite significantly different. Otherwise, we are going to be facing another season in League Two next season, and I kind of fear that the personnel recruited is going to be of the same type as it has been this season, kind of not exactly on the cheap, but yeah, on the cheap, to be honest. We're looking for something always that is not going to cost money, and we're rolling the dice just as much as we did with Power in a way, because we're looking for those players that are at the bottom of the pile that we think we can bring to the top. But that's going to take top coaching. So who is the top coach in there, and who does Scott Lindsay rely on for advice when the chips are down?
Well, I think he recently revealed he had a mentor, Andrew, didn't he? If I remember rightly, who watches games from the back of the stand. I can't remember the chap's name, but he's been around football a lot.
Yeah, you're right, he did, but I can't remember who it was. He did mention
Alf Ramsey.
Sorry, Andrew, we've lost you. We've lost you.
Sorry, that's better.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was a chap called Carl Larriman who's spent lots and lots of years with the Arsenal Academy, basically, who he kind of knows through Kent football, but just the wizened old head who doesn't want to become a manager, who he can talk to safely.
Sorry, Anna.
I just said it hasn't worked if he's been there for a few games. hasn't worked
Perhaps he
so
fell
far.
asleep during them, I expect. That's probably what happened.
I keep trying to go back to the positives, Vic, because you asked about the positives.
Yeah, I did.
So
Yeah.
kept forgetting.
Well, Sean says the ground purchase goes through next month. Simon, positives. Williams is back. Playoffs are achievable, as unlikely as that seems today. Surely Scott Lindsay will revert to back four now. Surely. I think you're dancing around the obvious. The players are not that bad. It's the formation style that's the problem. A half-decent striker and midfielder at Christmas could make a difference, but a change of manager is more likely to make us competitive again. Kevin says, League Two is doing my head in. All these miles to travel. Not the only one. We keep saying we're 3 points off fourth. Fourth gets you nowhere. We're 18 points off top. That's the problem, which is a point I think Anna made a little earlier on. I think okay playoffs for sure this year, but Defo needs to bring a proven goal scorer in, as we haven't replaced the 20-odd goals from Harry last year. Need to take more shots on goal near the edge of the box, is the point you made earlier on. 24 from Harry, I think it was 10 from Jack Payne, something of that order. So it's 30-odd goals we're missing. So, George, be positive then. What can you be positive about?
Well, Blake Tracy. There was one incident on Saturday when Saidu Khan was laying prostrate in the goal, having headed the. Did he head the post or did he head the?
I think it was a collision with the keeper, wasn't it? As far as
I thought it looked from we were quite close to him. And it looked like he headed the post. Whatever, he was lying there, and Blake Tracy had the ball over at the corner flag, and he was bellowing at him, just drag him off, get him off, get him. I don't think he quite realised the severity, the potential severity of Saidu Khan's injury. He just wanted to take the corner and get on with it. Positives. There is a decent team there. There are some decent players there. It's just how we're using them. I feel is not getting the best out of them. I mean, there's some good players there. Darcy, I think, is good. Jeff, as we said before, he can score goals. Yeah. Give him the right things. Lou Reed, now he's had a couple of bad games, but he's a good footballer. I mean, there's a great goalkeeper there. We've got some great fullbacks. You look at it, you think, well, how can we be playing that badly? So maybe it just stems from how they're directed and how they're set up. And I can't get the grip with Jamie Day. I don't know what it is about the man. I don't know him personally or anything like that. But when he runs out there, he's not for me. Definitely not for me. But no, I think there's a good team there. I just think it just needs to be directed in the right way.
Jackie says, funny how we were so happy last year just to have a club. Now we're disgusted to be in League Two. I don't know, we're disgusted, we're fed up with it, to be honest. We've spent most of the last 15 years in League Two, and we seem to get out of it and then get dragged back. Right, let's go around the panel then. To me, Rob, the first thing they need to do on Saturday is attack from the off. If we get beat and we attack, at least have a go, for goodness sake. Is that fair enough?
Oh, totally, Vic. Absolutely, yeah. We're in an entertainment business. We've talked a lot about people paying money at a difficult time of year, at a difficult juncture in an awful lot of people's lives, let's be honest. And the one relief that a lot of people get is their Saturday afternoon fix of football. What you don't want to see is a team that offer you no entertainment value. So it's a cardinal sin at the moment for most of us who love our club to bits that we're not being entertained. And we aren't being entertained. We need to change that immediately. Saturday is a real watershed potential moment for us, because I do think if the entertainment value does not increase on Saturday, then I do believe there will be an awful lot of catcalling towards the manager, and I think it could be quite a tense and nasty atmosphere. If we entertain, if we get on the front foot from the start, everything that everyone else has said will come to fruition. We have got a team of players who are good enough, if given the right direction, if allowed to play. Mansfield away was only a month ago, and look at the performance that we put in that day. We looked like we weren't going to only find ourselves in the position we're in now. We looked like we were definitely heading towards League One at that stage. The wheels have come off, and the wheels have come off because they're not playing that same brand of football. Give us that same brand of football, you get people behind you again, and hopefully the season takes back off once again.
Yeah, Pete says we have to stop saying this. We need to move on and try to get out of this Northern League. Surely progress is the way forward. Not Jackie happy with sitting in League Two. Expectations have risen. People have paid a lot of money to abject dross. Would like the odds on Josh Davison to score a penalty. Ruins my weekend games like Saturday. I mean, I have to say, Andrew, on the weekend that we had off because of the Cup, I had a very entertaining evening watching the Exeter Carnival in pouring rain. In fact, I'd rather have been doing that again Saturday than sat in the cold at Crawley. I mean, I've commentated on bad games, Andrew, but that first half must have been, well, I don't know. You must have wanted to take your hat off and do something with it. How was it?
I think the highlight was pointing out that someone in front of us was watching the Netherlands USA game on their laptop rather than the fair they were being paid to watch, and then being able to say before they'd seen it because of the delay in the stream that the Netherlands had scored. That was my favourite bit of the afternoon. So sometimes you have to make your own entertainment.
Yeah, but as I said to Rob, Andrew, it's important they get off on the front. They've got to on Saturday. They can't sit back.
I'll paint you a slightly optimistic picture. There we go. You've got McDonald back, hopefully. You've got Williams back. Scott Lindsay has got rid of 3 defenders once this season when he's realised it's not worked. So maybe he does the same, and you've got some slightly better players back, and it just lifts a bit. And hopefully they understand that they've got to try and entertain, and as you say, bring something positive to the occasion. Hopefully with a bit of tweaking and some fresh personnel that might happen. Yeah. I'm not saying it will, but it's not necessarily as bad as we all think, despite the last performances. Hopefully.
Steve, what will we see to send us happy into the England-France quarter final? Yes.
A 1-0 win, deflected goal the 90th minute. No, just like Rob and Andrew said, we've got to get out there. We've got to go from minute one, from the get-go. Just attacking what we were promised in the summer. Attacking, flowing football. None of this tippy-tappy, back round it goes, back round the defence, back goalie, back. No, we've got to get at them. We've got to get at them, and that's just what we haven't done. So get at them on Saturday, rattle them. You're at home. You've got nothing to lose. If we've had 20 shots and 15 on target and somehow we still haven't scored, so what? We've been, we've seen some shots. We've seen some action at the right end for once. So, no, I'll take a scrappy 1-0 win, but 8 wins a win, and we desperately need one. So that's what I'll settle for on Saturday. Just some attacking football would be nice.
It would be nice. Realistically, do the panel think that if it gets worse than it is currently, will we see Clem make a change or not? Maybe that's something we'll discuss after Saturday's game. Done so well last season after getting into the playoffs, was expecting to go one better this season. We as a club are too big for League Two, need to get out as soon as. You don't win games by possession or crab football. We need to move the ball faster, get the ball up the field. So, all right, be positive, Anna. Come on then. Clarion call for Saturday.
I quite like the idea of crab football. I almost say crap football.
We've got that at the moment.
I honestly can't see things being radically different Saturday. What you have to remember is that they're professional footballers, right? But they're going to be nervous. The fans are going to be nervous. If the fans get on their back after the first misplaced pass, this is going to go horribly wrong. So, foot in one camp says, we have to try and support the side. I understand about the boredom factor because that is a big factor. But that team is going to be nervous. If we get the first goal, I think we'll be fine. And Lindsay's pointed out as well, hasn't he, that in the last few games we haven't scored the first goal, and that's pretty clear to me. Parallels with England game yesterday.
Yeah.
You start off the first 30 minutes, you've got oodles of possession, you're knocking the ball about, you create nothing, and then suddenly, bam, 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 in the back of the net. That's what you need to do, and the game is totally changed. The atmosphere changes. So somehow we have to find the inspiration to move that ball quickly and score that first goal, and then I think we'll be fine. So let's hope that happens.
Okay. Hello, Craig. Any possibility that the Legends Lounge might be showing the England game on Saturday? Good question. Don't know. If anybody can let us know from the club, we'll let you know. But look out on the Sports Club website. If it comes out, we'll let you know, of course. George, are you positive about Saturday? Can you be positive about Saturday? What is your hope for Saturday?
Now, Wimbledon, as somebody said earlier, is a second in the form table. Johnny Jackson said their last game on Saturday was their best performance of the season. We have a returning centre forward for us, who played for us. I think if we get out of this with anything at all, we'll be doing quite well. It'd be interesting to see if Johnny Williams really is the key to everything, and his return. Although they probably want this curious thing that they didn't want to integrate him back into the team too quickly, so he didn't play Saturday. Well, the desperate state that they're in, I'd have integrated him in as soon as he got off a plane. But it'll be very interesting to see if he makes a massive difference to us, and if we possibly are a one-player team, which would be very disappointing. But I don't go down there with a great deal of hope. I'll take it. If we win, that's great. But they're going to be tough.
It's Wimbledon. They always are. Ian says, how many will be injured for Saturday? Clayton, Jeff, Gladwin, Khan. Well, I would imagine Khan definitely would be out after Saturday. I can't believe. But anyway, we'll no doubt find out as the week goes on how many are fit and how many aren't. Thank you all very much indeed. I'll let you go off and enjoy the rest of what seems to be a one-sided affair between Brazil and South Korea. Not a surprise, that is it. Thank you all very much indeed. We'll be back next Monday evening with another Monday night panel. Hopefully a little bit more positive, shall we say. But after the events of Saturday, how could you not tell it how it is? Because it was, as a word that we used at the beginning, abject. So thank you all very much indeed for being here. And we'll see you again next week. Thank you very much indeed. And thanks to Mark, by the way, for driving it all. Thank you very much, Mark.
See you all.
Arrivederci.